617 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss, and it seems like part of him was buried on Fort Bliss. Um, so we have so much information coming in. I just got a notice that I am live. Let's see, make sure everything is working. So today is Holy Innocents' Day. So yesterday was St. John's Day. Day before that, St. Stephen's. Day before that, of course, Christmas. It is really a very, very special time because it's jaw-dropping. It's absolutely jaw-dropping because you know that that there is a divine, that the end of all questions, end of all arguments, the end of all legal arguments, any argument at all, ends up being God is. God is. And so it is amazing to read through today's scripture on Holy Innocents. And I will tell you this, the death camp, right? The death camp being Fort Bliss was, I was talking to someone that knows the Bible really well today, and they go, when I was thinking about Holy Innocents, I was thinking about Richard, and now you're telling me about the hundreds of thousands of children that are, were unaccompanied. What are you talking about, unaccompanied? They were taken. They were taken and they were processed through our military installation, and now they're mostly dead. They're mostly dead. And our Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in 7 times, the last 7 times. And Fort Bliss, when Richard said it was really, really bad, he meant it was really, really bad. Even for Richard to say that, reflecting on it and everything. So he was absolutely reporting on trafficking. He was in communication with FBI Houston. He was in communication with Washington, D.C., which I failed to put down in our paper today. He was in communication with IG and the CID, and of course CPS, and of course 911. So, and I'm sure I'm missing some, right? And we're putting all the pieces together because of, we always were like Clem Coward, but I think it's Michael Garrett. I think it's Michael Garrett. Clem Coward too, but Michael Garrett. And that's why this is so, when you are a 4-star general, you have some power. You have some connections. You might have some favors. People might owe you some favors. And when you have gone through, well, I'll read our statement. And because the last few days, the evil demons try to take your mind, divert your attention off of the jaw-dropping, the revelation that God has manifested himself as a child, and that child could not be unaccompanied. It needed a mother and father. And when Herod, a political power, went after the children for political reasons, right? This is this is what was told to me today, that yes, it's political what's happening on Fort Bliss, what has happened, but it's far worse than even Herod. It's worse than the holy innocents that we're remembering today. And that really shocked me because he was making a point. Because what are they doing to these children? Why are they mostly dead? What are they doing to them? And where are they going? And not going, you know, trafficking them, putting them in a train, in a human train, like a slave train, unaccompanied, absolutely taken. It's far worse. I don't have the right words, and I'm probably not expressing this like how my soul wants to express it, how my heart wants to express it. But it is definitely, it has to be spoken. It has to be discussed. Because not only are they inhumane, but it really, it's so criminal. It's absolutely so criminal. So we're very proud of Richard speaking up against this human trafficking, this criminal trafficking, the child trafficking there on Fort Bliss. And we are, continuing his legacy. We are, the death camp. The death camp. We won't stop until we take it back. We won't stop until we take it back. And then it probably needs to be shut down, right? It needs to be shut down. And so we're getting a lot of chatter about McGregor Range. I know McGregor Range really well. My dad used to work out there. My dad was ADA, McGregor Range. And it is interesting that was an important, I think it was an important area for Veronica Escobar. We all know that Veronica Escobar is up to no good. And so we're hearing a lot of chatter about McGregor Range. And so Area A. McGregor Range A. Combat training A. Restricted area. We're hearing a lot of chatter about that. So just to, it's all coming out, y'all. It's all coming out. And it's coming out about General Garrett's connections that are up to no good. Their attempt to cover this up. And that's why there might be some media. Now, the media that we don't want is from El Paso Community Foundation. Their media organization is El Paso Matters, and they cannot be trusted because they use confirmed convicted criminals as sources. Bob Moore, he has no credibility at all. He's shot. I mean, his credibility is shot, right? His credibility is totally shot. We reached out to him so many times, no less than 15 times. And he just ignored. We put a cease and desist out because he, refused to respond to us and correct the very untruthful story alluding to suicide. And we're like, what? Excuse me, we have the report. We know where all the evidence has directed. You go by evidence. It's kind of like, I wonder if he was one of those that fell for everything, just falls. I don't know. He just lives in like a la la land, or he just does everything for politics' sake. He just does anything for his own pocketbook, right? It doesn't matter if it's true. And especially if he's going to use the very suspect in our son's murder case, who is a convicted criminal, that was reported on for tampering in our son's case, for interfering in our son's case with CID agent Tavita Nusa and her son, Dallas Hart, who was Richard's platoon leader. If he's going to use her, that is totally up to no good, and refuse. And he is talking to them all the time. He's part of the group, the criminal group that's harassing us and threatening us and all of that. And him and Angela Kachurga is up to no good. She has no credibility either. Her credibility is absolutely zilch. Zilch. All her talk about care and this and that for the border, it is absolutely zilch. Zilch. These are criminals. These are criminals that are tied to the El Paso cartel, I call them, that are tied to the Mexican cartel, that are tied to all of this criminal activity, all of that. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind because of the way they have presented themselves and the criminal activity that we have witnessed, and we are in ongoing cases of that activity that we witnessed. And, very, what people will do, the selling out of your soul, and these children, and the drugs and all of the equipment and, you know, um, so it is really, but, they mean it for bad because he contacted us, or reached out to Raw on the 26th of December and, with the accurate questions. And of course, we can't respond to him. We're in active and ongoing investigations, and we're the witnesses of that. We can't respond to him. And he's, um, demanding that we respond. And by the end of yesterday, by 5 o'clock, and, whatever. Um, and while committing more crimes, while committing even more, continuing to commit crimes, because he posted the serial number of a pistol. That is absolutely criminal. He just, that's a federal crime. Um, so so much has been happening the last 2 days. But one thing we can't forget to do is enjoy the Christmas tide. Christmas just started, y'all. And for us, Advent um, goes all the way to the 24th of December. And then Christmas starts on the 25th, or the night of the 24th. And it goes for 12 days. It goes for 12 days until the Epiphany. And so this is Merry Christmas. This is the time you say Merry Christmas, right? Merry Christmas und eine gute Rutsch. Und eine gute Rutsch into the new year. If you understand German, you understand that. But yeah, this is the happy Christmas time, the Merry Christmas, the Frohe Weihnachten. This is it. This is a high celebration right now. This is when you get together and I think over the years, we got a little diverted. And we forgot about the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas tide. It is a tide. It's rolling and we're in it. And so we can't forget about that. And so when you get right in the middle of or right at the beginning, right? 26th of December, you know, get bullied, you get demands made from you. And it's like, wait a minute. You know, I'm observing my religion, right? I'm observing my Christianity. And, you know, this is how evil and there's no, see, the thing is, as we said, look, uh, give us the 10 days, right? Then Christmas will be over with, you know, the 12 days of Christmas will be over with. And then we will, you know, we will absolutely respond. Um, uh, but not to Bob Moore because we legally cannot respond to him. I mean, he has no credibility, and not to Angela Kacherga. She has no credibility. But we will respond. And so, you know, but these people, they're like demons, right? They lurch and probe in the dark, and then they just want to sabotage the nicest times. And so we can't let them do that. We absolutely responded. You know, we've had things ready for a long time. You know, we're ready. We're ready um, for the lawsuits. We're ready. Um, we're ready. And yet, you know, they just want to um, bully us and traumatize us and all of that. They, you know, just want to. It's they're just horrible, very horrible criminals. You cannot even call them people. They're just absolutely criminals. So have had we have this statement, um, and I posted it, but I'll read it to everybody. Um, yeah, I might find some of my errors. I might find some of Rob's errors. We'll see. We'll see. Open letter to the community regarding Bob Moore's false reporting on Fort Bliss whistleblower Richard Halliday. And this is by the Gold Star family of Richard Halliday. We are the Gold Star family of Richard Halliday, two-time distinguished honor graduate, and the Fort Bliss whistleblower who reported criminal trafficking at Fort Bliss. In July 2020, Richard was retaliated against forcibly, taken from his barracks, and murdered. The Department of Defense has, and I should have said, and I hate to interrupt, I should have said that it had escalated at that time because it started earlier than that. The Department of Defense has now confirmed his murder occurred on Fort Bliss. Before his murder, Richard made multiple whistleblower reports to federal authorities, including the FBI, exposing trafficking and its connection between Fort Bliss and the Walmart mass shooting. These revelations ultimately led to his targeting and murder. As you know, we have been reporting on Bob Moore's unethical and unlawful actions, which include interfering with investigations, using convicted criminals as unreliable sources, scheming to remove a duly elected district attorney, withholding critical information from the public in high-profile cases, and harassing our murdered son and our family. But it's not limited to that, y'all. That's just a few of them. In the immediate aftermath of our son being officially declared dead, Bob Moore and Angela Kacherga published a deeply misleading and untruthful article about our son, our family, and our son's case. This article, published just days after we were officially recognized as a Gold Star family, insinuated suicide and smeared Richard's character with a distorted, false narrative. Claims that have been confirmed as false by the Department of Defense. Despite our family's multiple attempts to reach out to Bob Moore, no fewer than 15 times, he refused to respond, seek our statement, or correct the false story. He even went so far as to evade service of our cease and desist demand for over 6 months. Now it has finally been confirmed that Bob Moore has received our cease and desist demand letter. Now, over a year and a half later, Bob Moore is attempting to further harass and retaliate, probing our murdered son's ongoing criminal investigation and multiple other ongoing criminal investigations where we are witnesses. We have outlined Bob Moore's unethical conduct in the cease and desist demand letter. We want the community to know Bob Moore has been reported for violating his nonprofit status by engaging in biased reporting using unreliable sources to conduct political attacks. That means interfering with elections, y'all. His credibility as a journalist is in crisis and is now non existent. For the first time ever, he has reached out to our Gold Star family, not respectfully, but aggressively demanding a statement during the Christmas season. On December 26, 2024, we received an unsolicited communication from Bob Moore requesting a comment regarding the Department of Defense's investigation, the Board of Inquiry, into Richard's murder, and giving us 24 hours to respond. Additionally, in one of his stories, Bob Moore used Leilani Hart, the confirmed convicted criminal and a prime suspect in our son's murder case. She is also the mother of our son's platoon leader, Dallas Hart. In July 2020, the same month our son was murdered, and the same month they also declared Vanessa Guillen's body found. It's really important, and I should have put that in there. That same month, Leilani Hart confessed through a sworn, notarized affidavit that she, along with other family members, was engaging in the very activities that our son died reporting on. She admitted to possessing illegal photographs of children and failed to report the heinous abuse. I can't really say the real words, okay? You have to read through the lines, even though I say it down here. I'm not going to read them. She admitted to possessing these illegal photographs of children, you know what I mean, and videos, and failed to report the heinous abuse of a 7-year-old that occurred in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household. Additionally, she disclosed that her family engaged in illegal purchases of weapons and swore to a history of ongoing abuse within her household, including acts of incest involving Dallas and his father. This means Leilani Hart officially and directly accused Dallas Hart of possessing the illegal child pictures and engaging in it with multiple family members, including his family, who is an employee of the Fort Bliss Veterans Administration. And this was Dallas in uniform. Despite this information, Bob Moore did not correct his story. After using her as a source, he failed to disclose to the public that she is a confirmed convicted criminal with a long criminal record, including assault charges that date back to before Richard was even born. We are the ones who took additional steps. I mean, she has a long record, y'all. We are the ones who took additional steps by retaining a law firm to provide Bob Moore with notice of cease and desist request. Our main demands were that he stop unlawfully using our son's protected image in violation of copyright law. We also expressed concerns about Mr. Moore's unlawful disregard for federally protected information, particularly regarding evidence such as the serial number of a pistol. Moreover, Mr. Moore failed to report, I think it's a firearm, sorry. I think I need to correct that. I think it's a firearm. Moreover, Mr. Moore failed to report. You have to remember, we only had a day to do this, but we've, really. Moreover, Mr. Moore failed to report that his unreliable source, the confirmed convicted criminal, Leilani Hart, was the subject of a federal whistleblower complaint. This complaint indicated that she was interfering with our son's investigation, tampering with evidence in his case, and breaching security by accessing confidential information as early as January 2020. Our experience dealing with the discredited Bob Moore corroborates media reports alleging that he schemed to remove the duly elected district attorney, Yvonne Rosales, with the aim of interfering in a high-profile ongoing investigation into the unlawful distribution of over $12 million in funds intended for the Walmart mass shooting victims. Richard had expressed to us his fear for his safety, stating that he felt at risk if he left his barracks and describing the conditions within his unit as very bad. We firmly believe that Mr. Moore's actions, which demonstrate his crisis of credibility, including his continued reliance on false narratives and unreliable sources, are an attempt to cover up his previous misconduct and retaliate against us. His refusal to seek the truth and his engagement with individuals with direct involvement in the case, such as Leilani Hart, are deeply troubling. We also have evidence that Mr. Moore has knowingly participated in unethical and potential, no, not potential. I need to delete that. Unethical and criminal actions against our family. Fort Bliss CID agent Tavita Nusa admitted to interfering with and harming Richard. I'll read that again. Fort Bliss CID agent Tavita Nusa admitted to interfering with and harming Richard, and later actively obstructed the investigation into his murder. Official documents confirm that Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks. Surveillance footage was tampered with, and the soldier assigned to guard Richard, and Richard was a known whistleblower, failed to report for duty. Additionally, these same documents identify key suspects in Richard's murder, including CID agent Tavita Nusa and First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, both of whom were directly involved in tampering with evidence and records alongside Leilani Hart. These individuals were ultimately relieved of duty. And separated from the Army. Notably, Tavita Nusa is a relative of Leilani Hart, the convicted criminal used as a source by Bob Moore despite her lack of credibility. Further reports indicate that Mr. Noosa was involved in a personal affair with Leilani Hart. Further undermine, I'm being so nice, right? Rob and I are being so nice. Further undermining the integrity of the investigation. Our son's murder is connected to the Walmart mass shooting case before and after his murder. Richard was also targeted by individuals associated with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. Ms. Garcia has been accused of tampering with government records, including both certificates, to fraudulently obtain benefits from the Walmart Mass Shooting Victims Fund. Remember, it had $12 million in it. She wanted a piece of the pie, but she wasn't qualified. So she became an imposter. Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is linked to Danae Katzen, Gonzalez, and Breeze, another con artist, right? Another con artist. And other but you know what? There's something, I'm just thinking about some leaks. And, I think Danae, pray for Danae. I think she's trying to crack this world that she was born into. I think she's trying to crack it and get out. I don't know. And other family members residing at 39. So both of them were residing at 3905 Bliss Avenue with others in El Paso, Texas. That address again, 3905 Bliss Avenue, who targeted Richard and our family. Danae Katzen is currently on the El Paso Police Department's most wanted list and is listed as a fugitive. She tampered with evidence in Richard's murder. Well, she also targeted us, targeted Richard, and targeted our family with KTSM. And I needed to put that in there. I'll put that in there. Was in possession of his credit card and in possession of a pistol that was not her own. That's why I said pistol. I needed to put the firearm back over there, Rob and I worked hard on this. This group has a history of violent behavior and fraudulent activities, including credit card fraud, impersonation, terroristic threats, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Notably, Danae Katzen's husband was part of 14388 on Fort Bliss. Another family member framed Richard through a false arrest. I didn't mention that she was even dating someone in Richard's unit, okay? While Belen Isabel Rocha, a known prostitute, gave false testimony to cover up Richard's murder and the Army's failure to report it to our family. At this time, our family is also involved as witnesses in ongoing investigations. This is really important because we have to be a law and order country. We have to be. So we are involved as witnesses in ongoing investigations concerning Bob Moore's actions, his criminal actions. As such, responding to his requests for a statement would present a conflict of interest and interfere with those investigations. This situation has created a significant legal issue, particularly as Bob Moore continues to publish sensitive private information such as the serial number of the firearm. I need to change that, firearm, without permission, an action that constitutes a federal crime. That doesn't change. He posted the serial number of a firearm, and that constitutes a federal crime. Bob Moore's continued interference in the investigation and his repeated harassment of our family not only present legal concerns but also exemplifies a troubling pattern of tampering and intimidation. By contacting our family during the Christmas season and even with ongoing cases, right, with ongoing investigations, after previously refusing to communicate with us, we believe Mr. Moore is attempting to influence the investigation, bully us, retaliate against us. Definitely, I need to put that in there. Retaliate against us and re-traumatize our family. His actions represent an ongoing violation of our rights, to get our son's remains back, to find out what happened to our son. They don't want us to know. Why? Why? Because they're criminal, and he's proven that he has no ethics, no credibility, and he is a criminal. Involved in criminal actions, that's for sure. And so he continues to violate our rights and obstruct justice. The Gold Star family of Richard Halliday. So that's our statement. And, just thank you so much. And I know I'm coming on a little bit early today because we just, thank God. So I think that should answer a lot of questions, or please share that. Please share that. This cannot be tolerated, what has happened in our son's case and to us. This cannot be tolerated. This cannot be overlooked. This has to be addressed. This is a El Paso cartel creating a death camp out of our beautiful Fort Bliss. And it just cannot be tolerated. And putting our volunteer soldiers at risk, where they are afraid in their own barracks room, on their own military installation, that we give hundreds of millions of dollars for security guards, for security gates, for security cameras, for security dogs, for security everything, for patrol everything. And that is so important, right? That our military installations be secure. But this is just one security breach after the next. Right there on the border, right there where they're using our military installation, our funding and everything to traffic children, to traffic unaccompanied children, taken children. And this cannot be tolerated. And there's so many other crimes that go along with that, with all the money laundering and the drugs, the weapons, and all of that. So this needs to be shared, and this needs to be shared. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.